When meeting feels like destiny. It all started with a casting call for the mega-drama project, You Are My Glory. When the name Dilraba Dilmurat and Yang were announced as the main cast, the fans were thrilled. Two big names, two perfect faces, two stars that already shine in different skies, finally united. However, not many know that the meeting felt different for both. Not just a work project. Not just reading the script. The first time I looked him in the eye in reading the script, it was like déjà vu, Dilraba said in an interview. Like I've known him my whole life. Yang also admitted, we immediately connected, even before the camera recorded. It was no ordinary meeting. It was a meeting that resembled fate. A look that can't be lied to. The shooting days began. From morning to night. From sweet scenes to emotional scenes. But something is growing quietly. Not from the script. Not from the director. But from the way they looked at each other when the camera was off. Sometimes he just looks at me in silence. But I know he has something to say, Dilraba told one of the staff. No need for words. Their gazes behind the scenes are more honest than any dialogue. They laughed together, waited for each other when they finished the take, and were often caught on camera by fans walking side by side between filming breaks. The crew begins to bet secretly. Will they be a real couple after this drama? Self-embraced secrets. No confession. Just a signal. Just code. But it was heart-pounding enough for anyone watching up close. However, in the world of entertainment, love is not an easy thing. Their management is very strict, keeping the image, and more concerned with the contract than human feelings. We knew there was something between them. But we must not allow it to develop further, said someone from the production team. They chose silence. Not because you don't want to step, but because there are too many eyes watching. Too many careers can collapse because of one unplanned love. On the verge of choice. After the drama ended, offers flooded them. Dilraba was ogled for a major international film project. The one who was offered the main role in the action series of a national scale. They're at the top. But it's also at the crossroads. I would love to shoot with him again, but I don't want to get in the way of his big dreams, Yang said in a limited interview. We support each other, but also stay away from each other. Because the world makes no room for too real closeness, Dilraba wrote in her diary entry, which was later leaked to the public and made fans cry. Growing distance without permission. Time is running. Days changed projects, and they began to interact less often. No more repost stories. No more twin emojis. Everything becomes formal. At the awards ceremony, they sat in the same row. But there was no one. No waving. They are like two stars that once shone on each other, but now choose a different sky, wrote one blogger. And netizens began to ask, does love really ever exist? Or is it just a shadow that we create because we expect too much? When there's nothing left to say. In one solo interview, Yang was asked about his most memorable character. He was silent for a long time. Xiao Jingjing, he said finally. Not only because the role is strong, but because when playing it, I feel like the best version of myself. Dilraba was once asked, is there a role that makes it difficult to move on? There, he said slowly. Not because of the story, but because of who I was with at the time. No name, but everyone knows. The fate of the ego and the world. A reunion project is planned. Love drama on the theme of reincarnation. The audience was hysterical when rumors said they would return one screen. However, reportedly, Dilraba refused. Not because the story is bad, but because this heart is not ready to open old wounds that have not healed, said one of the sources close. Yang, when asked about the rejection, just smiled and said, if we are a match, even the script doesn't need to force us to meet. The phrase went viral. Thousands of fans are rewriting it on social media. It's as if fate is working harder. When a career can't replace a loss. Dilraba won international awards. Yang starred in box office films. But in the glare of the lights and the applause, there was an inexplicable emptiness. In one photo shoot, the photographer said, "Their gaze is the same as it used to be, when they were still playing a couple. But now, there's a wound behind that beam." They succeed professionally, but losing something more precious. Each other. Accidental meeting. In Paris, at Fashion Week, they were invited by the same brand. For the first time in 2 years, they stood in the same place. Eyes meet. The world fell silent. No hugs. No handshake. But their eyes speak. Dilraba walked first. But before getting into the car, he turned his head. The one who smiled a little. Just a minute. But enough to restore the entire memory that they once rejected. Now they live on a different path. Full of achievements. Full of highlights. But there is still an empty space that no one can fill. In one of the last interviews, Dilraba said, "Some people come into our lives to teach us the meaning of loss. But something's coming. We pray, even if we can't have it." And the one who closed his fan meeting with a sentence, "Sometimes you meet people who you think are your destiny. But the world says otherwise."